Click on that there record button, scroll up a few clicks, and... Ooh, what a fade out. I am a G-darn natural. Did you hear that, Josh?
I thought it was Walters for a second.
You son of a gun. You take that back. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix Podcast. I am one of your lovely hosts, the Almighty Garlic, along with my other friend, colleague, mentor here, Josh.
The jovial Josh.
We're going with alliteration today? Can I say the great Garlic? That's fucking lame. I'll come up with a better one. Anyways, you already said hi to the folks, but do you want to officially say hi to the folks, Josh?
Hi to the folks.
You were nailing it today. So yeah, we're the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix Podcast. We have an email address you can send emails to if that's your sort of thing. hiddenoaksoverdose@gmail.com. I'd like to say thank you to Levi Oki for the beautiful art you can see on your phone screen approximately right now, unless your phone's in your pocket. But Levi Oki is a wonderful man who gave us that art. You can look him up on Instagram, Levi Oki Illustration. I would definitely consider it. We also have segment times in the description of this podcast. So if you don't want to listen to us for the full time, I don't blame you. I don't want to listen to me for the full time, but if you want to skip around the pod, we put segment start times down in the description below. Yeah. How you doing today, Josh?
Good. I got off work at around 1:15.
What?
Well, I had an eye appointment in Monticello. I was going to drive back.
Holy Monticello.
Yeah, well, it's 5 minutes from my house, so figure why not?
I mean, I suppose. Why'd you make the appointment so early?
I made it a year ago. Do you really think I thought that far ahead?
No,
I literally got an email saying, your scheduled eye appointment is 1 o'clock, Tuesday, April 23rd.
Huh.
I just figured, I'm never going to reschedule. Might as well.
That sounds like too much effort to have to try and call someone and ask them what their availability is. And
just got sick thinking about it.
Be an adult for a moment. Dude, trust me, I hate that. Yeah, I mean, anything else you got going on?
Nikita goes to Florida on Thursday.
What?
So I'm going to be home alone because she's going to her parents after work tomorrow. So I'm going to be home alone all day tomorrow, all day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, well, let's just be honest. She's not coming back.
No, she's going to Florida. She's going to find herself some sort of hunky man on the beach, and you'll get a postcard that says, it's
Deuces.
over. Deuce. Cool for Nikita Classic. Deuces. Yeah, I mean, I put it riff a little bit in the agenda, but I don't really got anything.
How are you doing, Gar? You look a little older today.
I look a little older. Oh, I suppose. Yeah, my birthday was yesterday. Turned the big old 2-5. 2-5.
I remember when I hit 2-5, 2/3 of the way done with my life.
Right? That's how I feel, dude. If it's not a heart attack, it's the diabetes that's going to get me. So we're on our way.
Absolutely. Mine will probably be liver toxicity and things like that.
A little liver failure. Understandable. We've all got our vices, Josh.
If they sell liver in grocery stores, it should be fine if I buy some of that, though.
Oh, yeah. Just I hear it goes well with onions, liver and onions. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if onions is an organ, but we could probably work some out there.
Well, I am the liquor.
R.I.P. Yeah, I mean, I didn't write down my segment start times in my prep, but I can just start writing shit down now. You want to just dive right in? This is our pre-draft pod. And I reckon we just dive right in. You start talking about Packers, specifically start with the Packers and Vikings needs. This should be a quick segment. Then we'll go into a deeper prospect mock, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so the time for the time segment, it's 6:27 p.m. If you want to write that down.
6:27 p.m. I was actually going to write down, I already fucking missed it. I'm just going to guess it was at 4:35. Just a guess.
That's like an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm
2 hours ago.
I'm not very bright, but holy crap, Josh, it's already 5. Look, I said 4:35. It's already 5.
What?
Time is flying.
All right. So Packers and Vikings needs. I'm looking at your notes compared to my notes, and it's kind of making me wish I didn't take any notes.
Oh, Josh, I told you pre-pod, you did a great job. Like, you did all the work I could have ever done for me.
Well, I guess I'll start then, since I actually have stuff written down. Green Bay's needs. They need players.
Very good.
Your turn.
All right. Well, thank you for that lengthy
No,
segment.
some of the needs, tight end, offensive line just for depth, wide receiver. They also need some additional help in the defensive backs, safety specifically, and then also middle linebacker is something that we could probably use as well. I've seen some that say that we need a quarterback. Yep, long silence meant to be there.
I mean, it could be. It doesn't have to mean just because you draft a quarterback doesn't mean he's starting today. It could be an Aaron Rodgers who sits on the bench for a couple of years,
Right, and that's what people are saying is that this is the age that Brett Favre was when Aaron Rodgers was drafted. So they're going to essentially draft Aaron Rodgers 2.0. And
3 generational talents in a row, I'd leave. I'd leave the country.
So that's exactly the point. Is if they do take a quarterback, I'm really banking on Rodgers going, listen here, bud. 19-0, 6 years in a row. That's a new motto.
Sounds like quite the motto. I don't know if he'll be able to live up to it, but
he's already got it tattooed on his back.
That's brave.
Yep. Danica told me over dinner.
You're big friends with Danica, are you?
Yeah, we like to race. She always crashes. I win.
Oh God.
I'm on a bicycle too. It's more embarrassing for her.
Don't mind me while I blow my nose here.
Nose.
Mike didn't get it that bad. I feel pretty good.
Yeah, so what do the Vikings need? Hang on, let me take a guess. Offensive line 1, offensive line 2, offensive line 3, Super Bowl trophy unobtainable, offensive line 4, and interior D-line.
Interior D-line, huh? Nah, see, what we need is one more offensive lineman in that list, Josh.
I mean, I guess you do need one more because then you'll be able to field an offensive line.
Yeah, I suppose. But so I'm going to channel my inner Drulo here for a second. The Vikings need big, huge. They need a G-darn offensive line, okay? It's that there should be no greater need. There is, but I mean that if there's one glaring hole in the Vikings, it would be that glory hole right in the middle of our offense. What's supposed to be our interior linemen. They're bad. A lot of BBCs coming through there when they shouldn't be.
If you know baseball what I mean. Complex?
That is correct.
All
ding,
right.
Ding, ding.
That's every single radio show I'm listening to in Minnesota here is saying first 3 draft picks should be offensive linemen. If they're not, they better have a generational talent. Some people are saying, if they take a D lineman in the first round, that's not a big deal, but as long as it gets some offensive linemen, because it is a deep draft for O-line.
Allegedly.
But that depends on how it all shakes out, because I do know that there are quite a few teams in front of the Vikings that need an offensive lineman.
All I got to say is, Rick Spielman, just
throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
Gonna press key, or it looks like you're. Oh, what key are you pressing? Oh, I'm gonna guess you got to turn the keyboard on. I'm guessing I powered it off to save battery life.
Team has a bunch of losers in Minnesota.
There, are you happy? I helped you do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
But so yeah, let's pray for the best. But I said I wanted to keep the needs thing quick. There was really no point in doing that quick if we're just going to dive right into the next thing afterwards. Way to go, Garlic. But, yeah, I mean, Vikings need offensive linemen, need a backup running back, need some depth on offense and defense. So we'll talk about that more right now, actually. Josh, let's talk about some Packers.
Whoa!
I know.
Oh, never mind. I'm looking at notes here.
Let's talk about some Packers prospects. I'm writing down the segment start time here. We're going to say it was about 9:20 I started talking about this. But Packers prospects, Josh. I know you mocked up the first round. Looks like you did a full Packers mock. Take as much time as you want. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong or right. But, yeah, Packers. What are we looking at here?
Well, now I'm just kind of looking because the Seattle Seahawks and the Kansas City trade that happened may ruin some of the picks that were taken, but
did the trade just go through? I know there's rumors, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
no, it
missed
went
something.
through where they traded a first round, second round, and then exchanged thirds for Frank Clark. So Kansas City gave up their first. So Seattle gets 2 first, but it comes after the Packers and Vikings. But then it's, before the Packers' second first round draft pick. So who knows what happens there. They have some similar needs, but it doesn't ruin my mock draft because, let's be honest, nobody ever gets these right because something always happens. And
I'm going to interrupt you for a sec just to say I was thinking that on the way here. Yeah, there's a million mock drafts out there, but you never hear about in the following years, you never hear about how good someone's mock draft is. You never hear about accuracy or nailing picks. I've never heard anyone brag about how good their draft from a previous or their mock was from a previous year. I've never heard that.
Right. No, it's literally it's the silliest thing ever, which is why I did one.
Excellent.
Yeah. But it's just so many different things can happen with trades, and so you can't really guess which trades are going to happen. People try, and it's just silly because some of the trades that get tossed out are just ridiculous. Granted, nobody really saw Chicago going up to get Trubisky 2 years ago. Not
even Chicago saw that coming until it was too late.
They ripped them for that, or at least a lot of fans did. But in the end, I think it worked out. Well, we'll see how it goes.
I'll say it has so far.
It has so far. The Khalil Mack trade, I guess that wasn't during the draft, so never mind. So yeah, I'm guaranteeing like all of these picks and things, they're based on no trades happening. I'm sure there's going to be trades within the first. Well, there might be a trade on pick 1.
Yeah, it's very possible.
And so with that, take everything with a grain of salt. Obviously, we usually have a grain of salt segment. That was this one, and so. Diving right into the Packers, some of the prospects that I've seen consistently in the first round. I don't know how deep you want to dive into this, but in the first round, I've seen quite a few. It get deleted.
What are you looking for?
I've seen quite a few drafts with a tight end in the first, linebacker in the first. And then even a quarterback in the first. And so with pick 12, some of the names that come up kind of consistently, TJ Hawkinson, the tight end from Iowa, really good blocker, pass catcher, route runner, from what I understand. And then Devin White, who's a linebacker from LSU. Yes! I would be A-okay with Devin White, interior linebacker there. Somebody that popped up, Irv Smith. He's another tight end out of Alabama. Apparently he's good.
Sorry, I'm bored. I'm not bored, but I'm trying to add spice.
But it's one of those things like a tight end at pick 12. They gotta be Tony Gonzalez. Like it's so I wouldn't necessarily be upset with either of those guys. But at the same time, yep.
I mean, just let you finish your thought, but I'm raising my hand before you move on from 12. So,
but I would rather get somebody like a Devin White or a defensive player. Some people think Ed Oliver is going to fall that far, and if Ed Oliver falls down, I don't know how they would pass up on him.
All right, so I'm going to interrupt you just to bring something to your attention. You didn't mention it. I'm sure you came across it, but in the couple YouTube videos I watched to pretend to prep for this, I heard it was the trendy thing for people recently to put DK Metcalf here at this pick. Reactions, feelings, realistic, not realistic, good, bad, ugly?
I would hope they don't take him.
Okay.
Just because everything that I've heard on DK Metcalf is he is a physical freak, but he knows one route, and that's run in a straight line.
Perfect. What's the problem?
Well,
is he good at running in a straight line?
He was the fastest. He had the fastest 40 time. He's tall. He's not a bad wide receiver. He can catch. He's a first round talent from what people are saying, but he doesn't have a good route tree. And there are more glaring, not more glaring needs, but there are opportunities for wide receivers later in the draft, which could segue into pick 30, because that's where some of the mock drafts have a possible it got taken off.
Josh, these are all your notes. So
I know.
If
I
anyone
probably
took
saved
anything
it wrong.
off, it would have been you.
Some of the drafts that I've seen have Marquise Brown or AJ Brown going to the Packers at number 30. Other ones have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who's a safety out of Florida, Irv Smith again. But Irv Smith projected at 12 or projected at 30. So obviously there's, room for a lot of different things to happen. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see them go with one of those tight ends, Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson, or the linebacker Devin White with pick 12. And then if they want to go with AJ Brown, Marquise Brown, or Irv Smith at pick 30, I would be okay with that. Your turn.
You're already done? I was going to give you as much time
round.
as you... Oh, I mean, you want to go back? I figured we'd just stick with a team, but if you want to do the first round...
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know.
It's up to you, Joe. I mean, I'll do whatever.
It's hard to do because, I mean, the needs, tight end, offensive line, safety, inside linebacker, wide receiver. Tight end, I think, is going to be the biggest thing to fill, but taking them that early in the first, I think they'll wait till pick 30. Okay. If not, there's also an opportunity later on for them to get somebody like... I know I took a note on it somewhere in the 5th round, maybe. Oh, pick 75, somebody like Jace Sternberger, who's a tight end. So I could see them waiting to do that and then take somebody like Devin White in the first, AJ Brown in the second, or with their second pick, and then Jace Sternberger in the 4th round or whatever that is.
Gotcha.
I mean, otherwise, it's just filling in. I could see them taking some offensive linemen, Andre Dillard, someone that popped up, Greg Little. But then later rounds, take flyers on guys like Miles Boykin, Dylan Mitchell, different people who would be good at catching balls from Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything you said makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I did a mock draft for the Green Bay Packers using the Draft Network mock machine. And after I did it, it just kind of seemed silly. So I did it again and again. And I think that these people are like throwing darts at a random board because some of the picks I saw made zero sense. But I won't read the bios since yours, obviously, my notes are bios, picks, Draft Network rankings, and yours says, I got nothing, I am doomed.
Hey man, I got plenty I'm going to talk about. Take as much time as you want.
All right, so with pick 12, I took Noah Fant, tight end from Iowa. He was ranked as the seventh best on the network ranking. With pick 30, I took AJ Brown, wide receiver from Mississippi, ranked 38. Pick 44, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, safety out of Florida, who was number 12 on their rankings. Number 75, David Edwards, offensive tackle from Wisconsin, ranked 71. Pick 114, Kalen Saunders, D-line, Western Illinois. 118, Darius Slayton, wide receiver, Auburn. Number 150, Javon Patterson, offensive line, Mississippi. I scrolled the wrong way. Pick number 185, Deshaun Davis, linebacker, Auburn. Number 194, Myles Gaskin, running back, Washington. And then pick number 226, I picked the funniest name I could find, and that was Hamp Cheevers, cornerback, Boston College.
Hamp Cheevers? That's a dope-ass name. I would buy that jersey. Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, so I had no reason to read through all those names except that if I get all of them right, I want the podcast to know. So it's documented now.
It's a save the tape type of moment.
Yep, but when I get all of them wrong because everything's going to go haywire, then we'll just delete the podcast.
Excellent.
All right, Gar, what do you got?
All right, hold on. Before, I'm trying to be smart about it. So now I'm going to write down the segment start time for the Viking stuff now, so I can't forget.
6:41 p.m.
Thank you, Josh. That was very helpful. So, as Josh mentioned, Josh took very thorough notes. I very much appreciate all the work he put into it. I definitely know there's, both of us in the past on the pod have put a lot of work into notes where you don't get to say as much as you want. But sometimes really simple notes take a lot of work, like that mock draft, all those bios and everything. I'm sure you had to put a lot of time in just to be able to read those, 10 names, 8 names, whatever it is. So sometimes we have to do a lot more work than we want just to get simple, short, podcasty answers. But with all that said, I am not really a mock draft kind of guy. Even when it comes to fantasy, I don't really care. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. My brain doesn't really work that way. So what I can talk about, though, is I've mentioned the Vikings' needs, and we can go over them again. There's only really one big one. But I can talk Vikings philosophy and what I want to see on draft day. So to start with the glaring need, offensive line, of course. But it seems like Rick Spielman, Mike Zimmer, whoever else, based on historical data alone, they do not seem willing to sell the farm or reach or do any sort of anything to take an offensive lineman early. They will not do that. Rick Spielman's been around a while in football years, and he is very much a best player available kind of guy. If a player slides, he's going to take him, or if he feels like he's going to reach, he's going to trade back. So while offensive line is our biggest glaring need, we also need a good running back 2. We need a good wide receiver 3. We need some safety depth. We have Zimmer on this team, so we're going to take a cornerback at some point. Speaking of the other one I just flubbed, quarterback, we could always use a quarterback 2. I think with a lot of these needs I'm mentioning, it's going to be a go big or go home type of situation. So if you're going to take a corner, take a good corner, or basically wait till the end or get like an undrafted guy. Zimmer loves his projects. If you're going to take a safety, go big. We don't really have depth at safety, but go big on a good safety, or pretty much wait till the end. Running back 2, wide receiver 3, kind of same deal. Go big or go home with all these situations. Otherwise, we're just looking for not mediocre, but medium average depth. So that said, with pick 18, I don't think the draft is going to fall. I mean, pretty much Josh, looking at all your mock draft information, looks like everyone has everyone wants the Vikings to be taking, Jonah Williams here? First of all, I don't think Jonah Williams is going to fall that far. He's a good player. Or Cody Ford. Cody Ford makes more sense to me, but first to address Jonah Williams, that guy's a tackle. We have one guard on the team, or I guess we have 2 guards now technically, but we have one guard on the team. We need interior linemen, not exterior linemen. And everyone just keeps saying, move Reef inside or move Williams inside. Offensive linemen don't move that interchangeably as people seem to think they do.
Didn't Jonah Williams play guard as well?
I mean, I'm sure he did, but just everyone's billing him as a tackle, so I mean, you would just assume that that's his strength or his preference or whatever else. So that's a possibility, but I don't think Jonah Williams will last, so I think it'll be a moot point. Cody Ford, that's possible. Again, a great player. I don't think he would last this long, especially like last year. I think we ran into the situation where we took Mike Hughes, but it was mainly because there was a run on offensive linemen like in the teens, and so we couldn't get a good one. And like I said, Spielman is not going to reach. So at 18, unless like a stud corner or a stud D tackle fall to us at 18, I very much see a Rick Spielman trade back sort of situation to either get draft capital next year or to just trade back to an earlier second round, like maybe swap first and seconds with someone, so have a later first and then an early second type of situation. And honestly, that's what I'd prefer. I like to respect Spielman's intelligence. I know everyone outside of the Minnesota market seems to think Spielman and Zimmer are kind of tied to each other and are getting close to a hot seat. I think the Wilf family has a little more faith in them than that. Spielman wouldn't have been around this long if that was the case. So I think though the Vikings are, quote-unquote contenders, quote-unquote, in the Super Bowl window, I think Spielman is smart enough to not sell the farm here, and he'll ultimately take best player available or trade back and build the team for not only this year and next year, but also 5 to 6 years down the road. So other than that, I don't have a whole lot of thoughts. Like I said, we need offensive linemen bad, but we're not gonna reach. At least it hasn't been the style so far. I'd be surprised, I guess I should say, if we were to reach, if a run goes early, if a stud offensive lineman falls into our lap, sure. But I'm much more likely to see us taking best player available from a slide or just trading back. Unfortunately, I guess that's kind of the situation. With all other picks, I mean, by the time we get to the running back 2 or the wide receiver 3, I mean, there's not going to be any household names I could list off for you anyway. So I could try and say who I think we might take, but around 2 or 3, there's been so many crazy shit that's happened to be almost pointless to guess in my mind. Like I said, I'm not a mock guy, so. Josh, I mean, you've lived in the Minnesota market a long time. Any thoughts on my thoughts?
No, I think you nailed it. They've never really reached except for They reached for a quarterback at pick 7 or whatever.
That is a fair criticism. They definitely reached hard for Christian Ponder. That was
What pick was it? It wasn't pick 7. It was like pick 14.
He was number 7. It was pick 12, but it was
12.
like the 5th quarterback at pick 12, I think.
Yeah, so I mean they've reached.
So I shouldn't say they've never reached, but it's uncommon.
No, and that's like the last time that they reached.
Right.
And I think that it's fair to say that they haven't done much reaching.
We've been
since
wrong
then.
before. Like Treadwell was like 12 or 8. He was a teen pick. And,
No, I mean Treadwell was a bad first rounder overall. I mean when you think about it, just what you expect from a first rounder.
In the history of things, yeah.
Sharif Floyd, that wasn't his fault. He was a great player until he got that surgery.
Right. Botched surgery, that sucks, dude.
So there's instances where and they're talking about the Packers 2015 draft, which was one of the worst drafts of all time. It was garbage, and I don't even know. I think they took Dayton Jones that year. I don't even remember, but when I think of garbage drafts, I think Dayton Jones. So, I think that I don't see them reaching. I don't necessarily. I see them if there's a run on offensive lineman, which is very possible, unless a big name drop to them, somebody like Ed Oliver or even T.J. Hawkinson or Noah Fant, the tight ends from Iowa, because you guys need a replacement for Kyler Rudolph. Rashawn Gary, who just had the labrum tear in his shoulder, he's projected now to drop. I could see them taking any of those guys because Rashawn Gary he's supposed to be questionably a top 10 pick, but with that injury he's possibly dropping out of the first round because they don't know what the future holds, and so I could see them taking him if he drops 18. Otherwise, I do agree that trading back is something Spielman might do. I don't necessarily see them trading up for an offensive lineman, like you mentioned. So
I don't think that's
that.
Right.
That is something that people have mentioned with the Green Bay Packers. They might trade up, but to be honest, I don't know who they would trade up to get. They're not going to trade up to pick 1 or 2 for Nick Bosa. They don't have the capital for that.
No, we couldn't even afford Nick Bosa. We'd have to.
No, and that's another thing is
we're very cap strapped.
Yeah, the Vikings. The last report that I'd heard is that they can't even afford to sign their draft picks if they were to keep the current draft picks they have. That was one of the things, and I don't know if that's accurate or not. It could have just been the radio saying garbage, but who knows? I could see the Packers trading out of the first round with their pick 30. If it doesn't shake out to be the way they want, I don't think they'd trade their 12th pick, but who knows if they trade back to like pick 16 to 25 or something like that. I could see that as a possibility if they get some extra capital in the later rounds. But I could see them trading that 30th pick, the one that they got from New Orleans last year, if the price is right and they get a couple extra second rounders or something along those lines, because that fifth-year option for first-round draft picks is something that people take into consideration.
Right. I guess the only other thing I can add is I did a little bit of analysis. I didn't come in blind, but one pick I saw that was interesting that someone had linked to the Vikings, and again, this was just nonsense mock, but I thought it was cool, was I saw someone had linked Easton Stick as a late round pick to the Vikings. He's the QB of NDSU, the Bison, if you care. So I thought that'd be a cool guy to bring in to compete for the 2 spot. It's not quite a hometown guy, but it's as close as you can get as someone who was in a pretty similar market. And then, Josh, you have a mother who's a Nebraska fan, and I saw the Nebraska running back link to us, and I thought he had a cool name, but all I'm seeing is Maurice Washington or something like that, and I don't think that was it. Do you know of any other Nebraska running backs?
I do not.
All right, that's okay.
I mean, Amir Abdullah, you already got one Nebraska running back.
Right. Might as well get the whole, all of them. But so that was just one other thing that I saw that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I know we're not going to go into everybody's draft pick, but Cardinals, first overall draft pick.
Oof. It's not too often that you don't know what someone's going to do with one. A lot of the times it's pretty clear. And this is pretty unknown in my mind.
Now, it's almost a guarantee if they didn't take Rosen last year, they would be taking Kyler Murray this year. But they have Josh Rosen. They have a new head coach. And there are a lot of people thinking they're going to take Kyler Murray, so it's Cliff Kingsbury's team, in a sense.
Right.
But there are also a lot of people who say that they're not going to take Kyler Murray and admit that they messed up bad with Josh Rosen. And so I in my mock, I have Nick Bosa going number 1 overall because he's described as a generational talent, something that they toss out for 10 or 12 players every year, it seems. But Nick Bosa, first overall to the Cardinals, I could see happening. They need defense. They have a new coach. They made some moves in the offseason, I'm sure. I guess I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But they may test the waters with Josh Rosen one more time. Otherwise, if they do get a trade offer, I could see them moving on from Josh Rosen. One of the teams associated with that is, and I don't know how serious this is, but Green Bay trading for Josh Rosen. And if they give up a 3rd round draft pick, I have no issue with it because him and Rodgers are friends, I guess.
As close as friends as Rodgers can have, I guess.
Yeah, well, they grew up in the same area and that sort of thing is what they're saying.
Gotcha.
But I don't think Kyler Murray is going to go first overall, despite all the 3 mocks that I had put up on our notes. All have Kyler Murray going first overall, and I say Nick Bosa.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. One scenario, I'll just to play it, not devil's advocate, but just to give a different view. One scenario I saw today that was pretty interesting was the Raiders trading up to 1. I forget what they traded up, but the Raiders currently have 3 first rounders. So it was the Raiders taking Kyler at 1 just for John Gruden to be like, "Fuck you, this is my team." And then the Cardinals would drop to 4 at that point, and then still take a stud.
Yeah, and I've seen that, and then I've also seen them taking the next best quarterback according to most is Dwayne Haskins from Ohio State, and that's something that they've said is a possibility. So I don't know. Derek Carr, he's had his ups, his downs. He had his back injury. Was his back injury last year? No, that was 2 years ago.
I want to say it was last year, but I
was it
don't.
Last year? We pulled the Romo?
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Okay. But yeah, he's not as good as people have thought. He's not bad. He's serviceable. But there's a lot of teams that do need quarterbacks. So if they take him at 4, I could see that. The Giants are who I have taken Kyler Murray, if it makes any difference. So there's that, just because Eli is going to forget to open his mouth to breathe someday. And, so they definitely need a replacement for him. I can't think of anything else that I want to add.
Safety.
Gross. What do you got?
Well, I was just going to say we kind of, intentionally or not, we've kind of transitioned into talking about the first round of the draft. So, I mean, we can try and go by consensus picks, or, I mean, if you want to, you can just go through your first round mock a little more in depth. Again, you don't have to read every single cell on the sheet, but I don't know, just anything else you want to talk about in the first round. Before you do that, though, you can think about that. I was just going to say that I've heard Rosen, if he doesn't stay in Arizona, being most linked to the Giants and the Chargers. I think that's kind of like the popular consensus, which I'd be really interested to see Rosen on the Bolts as a Bolts fan. So he would obviously sit behind Rivers for another year or two, but.
Well, what about Rivers' kids? Aren't they going to take over the succession?
I'm not sure they're quite old enough yet. He has a shit ton of kids, but I don't think any of them are, I would be shocked if any of them have graduated high school or at least college, if they're a plan B on it.
I don't think so. I don't think they'd throw plan B on anything in that household.
You know what I meant.
Yeah, I'll run through my first round draft pick so people on the podcast can laugh at how dumb I am, because the number of the number of seconds that I put researching this is the same number of seconds that Kirk Cousins can last in that pocket.
To be fair, though, you definitely did put your own little spin on it. So you tried to take the consensus, go, I disagree. So it's not like you just regurgitated everything that like ESPN or Sports Illustrated or Bleacher Report would say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I took their needs into consideration for the most part. And so with the Cardinals, I did say that I did figure that they would not get rid of Rosen, and so they'd go to Nick Bosa, as I've mentioned. 49ers, Quinnen Williams, somebody to bolster their defensive line, their interior D-line. Jets, Josh Allen. The end outside linebacker is kind of what they're listing him as. So he'd be a good fit for what they need as an edge player. The Raiders, I had taking Devin White, who's that middle linebacker. But I could also see them taking a quarterback in this position too. Buccaneers, Ed Oliver, Giants, Kyler Murray. Jaguars take that first offensive lineman with Jawan Taylor. The Lions I had taking Montez Sweat. There is some injury concern, so from what I understand, he might actually fall out of the first round altogether, just based on some of the physicals that he had. So that is probably not going to happen, I will admit. Next, I have Jonah Williams. Dwayne Haskins to the Broncos. Bengals take Drew Lock, so there's a run on quarterbacks there, something that the Vikings would like to see, because that just means less teams are taking O-linemen, because both those teams do need O-line as well. Then after Drew Lock, TJ Hawkinson to Green Bay. Clelin Ferrell to Miami. The Falcons, Brian Burns. Redskins take Daniel Jones, Duke QB. He's tied to them a couple times, actually, in some of the mocks that I've seen. Panthers, Andre Dillard. Giants take Greedy Williams, cornerback. Vikings, that's when they take Jonah Williams.
Wait, I just don't want to, gaslight you here, but you have Jonah Williams going to both the Bills and the Vikings in your mock draft here.
Sure do.
Well, it's gonna be a joint custody type of situation.
So then it would be Cody Ford, and then I'll move the Texans pick from Cody Ford to someone else. See, I didn't pay too much attention.
That's all right.
Christian Wilkins to the Titans. Devin Bush to the Steelers. Who's the Steelers fan in our group? Is that? Is that Eric's?
I think that's Eric's. Yeah, because I know it's between him and not. I don't want to say. I'm going to say names wrong and look like a jackass, but I think it's Mika, who is the Bengals fan. Someone's a Bengals fan, and then someone's the Steelers fan. But I think it's Eric's is the Steelers fan.
And you do know that if you get that wrong, you get annihilated.
Dude, I'm a co-owner on a Reddit league with a bunch of strangers from the internet. Okay, I am as close to nothing as you can get. I don't even control the team name in the goddamn league. So what
is our team name? Do you know?
I don't matter. It's go fuck yourself, Josh. That's what I hope the team name is.
I believe it's the Josh Gordon Memorial Squad.
I think you've changed it since then, but it was that for a while.
Oh, I think it was John Kuhn is greater than Jim Kleinsasser.
I think you changed it again after that, but I don't know, and it doesn't matter.
Okay. So then after Christian Wilkins to the Titans, Devin Bush to the Steelers. Every mock draft on my screen has Devin Bush to the Steelers, so I really hope the Steelers take him, because that would be funny.
You did take that call?
No, it's Ben. He hung up already.
Okay.
Dalton Risner to the Seattle Seahawks. The Ravens, they take A.J. Brown. Texans, Cody Ford, despite me just saying that they're going, he's going to Minnesota.
Again, it's a joint custody situation. We'll work it out.
Yeah. Brian Burns to the Raiders. Eagles take Jonathan Abram. Colts, Dexter Lawrence.
That's Brian Burns going. Sorry, I'm going to stop flaming you, but you have Brian Burns in there as well. Twice. You also had him going to the Falcons.
Well, I'm going to be honest. When I was making my mock draft, I only went up and down 2 different picks just to see if they're the same names. I didn't go up and, I probably have somebody else. Yeah, I think I have Noah Fant in here twice.
Man, a lot of these guys are really good that multiple teams are taking them.
Greg Little. Oh, you want to know what happened?
What's that, buddy?
Well, the reason there's no number 30 on here is because sometimes when I'm at work, the internet doesn't necessarily always work.
Sure.
So when I change things on the spreadsheet, it doesn't always save.
Okay.
So I think it stopped saving at A, and then I changed all of the other picks that are duplicates.
Oh, man.
Because I had A.J. Brown going to the Packers at 30 in my mind, and I'm seeing he's at the Ravens at whatever pick that is. So I'm going to stop going through my mock at that point because I'm embarrassed. The Patriots take Chase Winovich, edge, Michigan.
That's pretty neat. So yeah, anything else we're going to transition into some Facebook comments next, but anything else you want to say about the first round?
Nope.
In your scenario, it looks like there were no trades. I know it's really hard to say, but if you wanted to speculate.
Garlic, if I didn't double check before reading the duplicates,
right? But this is not no double check. I'll allow you to have a truthiness moment. You'll owe me a nickel if you use the term, but if you, again, you don't have to speculate. But it's just if you thought something would be cool. What do you mean?
Like I speculated saying that the Packers would trade out of 30 if they don't get the guy that they want there, and the Vikings could possibly trade back. I don't know. I'm not going to say, the Broncos are going to trade because I have no idea what they're thinking.
John Elway's a fucking dunce. That's what I know.
Well, yeah.
Whatever that team does, it was the absolute wrong move. I can guarantee that, in the first round at least.
True that. All right, Facebook comments.
All right. Sorry, I was looking for a team name in the thing, but it didn't come through. All right. FBcom. Segment start time was probably 39:45.
7:02 p.m.
So we got multiple Facebook comments, and I think it's because I called out people individually in my post, but it worked out. First and foremost, I had texted this man personally, but first and foremost, one of our biggest fans, Mr. Ryan Walters. Ryan Walters.
Vikings are going to trade and get all 32 first-round picks.
Wow, that sounded just like Mr. Walters.
Thank you.
But anyway, so we put out 2 posts about it. This is on our first post. Mr. Walters says, there has been a lot of talk about this tight end from Iowa that PA would love the Vikings to draft at 18. This scares me because how much O-line help we need. We need to prioritize protecting our most expensive player rather than give him another weapon to throw to. If we can do both in the draft, fine. But like I just stated, protection over fancy new targets. Also, I know this has been said a lot, and first by A-Dub himself, but I think we should trade Xavier and get ourselves an additional high-round pick or a lineman that will also free up some cap space to give our good players contract extensions. And so to get the date correct, that was April 20th, so I'm guessing he commented the same day, or maybe until the 21st. It's a nice 420 or 421 post. So, I mean, Walters is feeling what a lot of Vikings fans are feeling. Kirk Cousins is the most paid player on the team. I can't fucking talk for you. But so it would be better to give him protection than to, just give another guy to throw to. So I feel you there, Walters. So yeah, I don't think we should take Noah Fant either, but I could definitely see a scenario where we do. Moving on to the second Facebook post. So Ryan Walters again submitted, so I'll just read his again because he kind of added to it, and then I'll read the other 2 as well. But so Ryan Walters' second comment was, I would like to add to my take. Again, it's nothing that hasn't been heard, but here it is. Why are people saying we need to draft a backup QB? Didn't we pay Slaughter like $150,000 to keep him on the Vikings practice squad? If they are ready to move on from Slaughter as backup QB, I think it's another red flag for our GM, Rick Spielman. Spielman has had awful decisions made out of QB since he got here, and signing Kirk Cousins hasn't cleared him from that stigma yet. If things go sideways this season, like not making the playoffs, Spielman has to be out. See, that, Mr. Walters, is a take I have to disagree with. And Josh, you're welcome to chime in here. I know you're just looking at the phone these days, but do you have any thoughts on that? Were you even listening?
So could you repeat the part after you said Walters' name?
Essentially, he said that Rick Spielman doesn't have a good history with QBs, which I think is fair, and Kirk Cousins is still kind of is not helping that stigma in any way. So Walters took the take that if Cousins still doesn't work out this year, he's got to be out, or if we draft a QB too high.
No, I don't think he has to be out, just because the defense that Minnesota has built just in general. But I do think that if Cousins has another down year, the Wolves are going to be trying to find that scapegoat, and he might get that scapegoat. Him and Zimmer might get the boot because of it. I would see Zimmer going before Spielman.
You think so?
But I mean, Zimmer, everybody praises Zimmer for being such a great coach, but he has, if you think about it, taking away a miracle, he has 0 playoff wins in Minnesota.
That's true.
And as a head coach in general, or as a coach in general, I should say, because he was in Cincinnati.
He won a bowl with the Cowboys, but he's a defensive coordinator then.
Doesn't count. He's not a coach. He's a coordinator.
So he doesn't get the ring?
No, I'm just kidding. But no, he with Cincinnati and then going to Minnesota, he's had a drought of playoff wins, and Keenum's balls are the only reason that that he got that win in the first place. My game's downloaded. All right, your take over.
All right, sick.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I do think that the fans are going to be screaming for somebody's head, and Spielman might get it, Zimmer might get it, and then obviously, that just depends on what happens next season. So if they go 8-8 and don't make the playoffs, yeah. If they go 10-6 but don't make the playoffs for some reason, probably not.
Sure. Yeah, I think everything you said is pretty fair. I didn't personally expand on it earlier when I was talking Vikings prospects or needs or whatever, but it is a fair criticism that Spielman has not had a good track record with QBs. You can argue in the beginning, before he was the right-out GM, he didn't have the perfect say. Like everyone knows, T-Jack was a Chili pick rather than a Spielman pick, but Christian Ponder was not great. McNabb was not great. Castle was okay. Teddy B was all right. I'm missing some guys. Bradford worked out for a little bit, but
Josh
not
Freeman?
long. Josh, let's not talk about Josh Freeman. Joe Webb, that was more of a Chili pick, but still didn't work out. I know I'm missing some guys. Case Keenum worked out for a year, but overall, I think it's a fair criticism that Spielman's not the best with QBs. And the other thing I was going to say was there's a lot of fans calling for, like, even at the end of last season, there's a lot of fans calling for Zimmer, which I thought was ridiculous. But I think the more you don't succeed, the more fans will call for someone's head. And, I would hope the Wilfs are above giving into that, but who knows? At the end of the day, they're a billion-dollar company, essentially, as the Vikings, and they got to keep making money. So, anywho, Walters, you got a lot of coverage there, so I hope you enjoyed that. Moving on to Mr. Eric's Sequestrian. He gave us some pre-draft takes. He says, my pre-draft takes. I'm mostly interested in all the wide receiver landing spots. Josh Jacobs is a bust. Never trust a Bama RB. Kyler Murray is overrated in my opinion. Also, I'm just hoping my Steelers, boom, it is Eric's who's the Steelers fan. I'm just hoping my Steelers will draft anyone who won't cause any drama in the locker, it says, to quote him directly, it says, I hope the Steelers will not, or will,
Wow, he said all of that? What, did you make that noise too?
Also, I'm just hoping, that's not,
well,
it did work.
are terrible.
Also, I'm just hoping my Steelers will draft anyone who won't cause any drama in her career. Otherwise, I might just jump on Brown's ship. So essentially he's saying if some drama queens, some crybabies come into the Steelers organization, he's going to take Antonio Brown's side. Otherwise, Antonio Brown looks like the bad guy right now. Is the gist I'm getting out of that.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. I think... Now, hear me out, Erics.
Ooh.
I think the Steelers should trade their first-round draft pick for Le'Veon Bell.
What?
They need a running back.
James Conner's not good enough for you?
James Conner, he was a backup last year.
He started all 16 games. What do you mean?
He entered the season as projected backup. So I think they should trade for Le'Veon Bell.
Josh, that might be the best take you've ever had on this show.
Thank you.
But anyways, to his point, he's calling Josh Jacobs a bust. Kyler Murray overrated.
I do agree on him with Josh Jacobs. Mostly because the last Bama running back that I can think of goes by none other than Eddie McDonald's Lacey.
Yum, yum, yum.
I'm sure there's been more since then. But yeah, no, Bama, because they get stuck behind that offensive line that is built of just brick houses, and that's why they get to look so good. I agree, Kyler Murray's overrated. He's little. He scored a 20 on the Wonderlic test, which I could do answering 19 questions. He's got so I do agree on that. And as far as the drama goes, drafting a linebacker is probably pretty safe, because what linebacker causes drama?
None of them. Definitely not one that murdered two guys. Definitely not one that gets fined and suspended every game. You can't. That's not being picked up on the mic, but Josh was shushing me there.
He doesn't know anybody like that. It's not the same. It's not the people from his division.
Definitely not. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, so Eric's didn't really talk about who he hopes the Steelers are taking, but he gave us some takes nonetheless, Eric's, and greatly appreciate you for contributing, even though I called you out by name to do so.
Yeah, I'm looking over the wide receivers landing spots, and honestly, it doesn't look like it's that deep of a draft for wideouts in the first round based on the mocks I see. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but Marquise Brown and A.J. Brown are the only two wide receivers that I see going off the board. Oh, I guess DK Metcalf. But I already talked about my, not necessarily dislike for this DK Metcalf, but my concerns about him. He's a boomer bust type player in my opinion. Yep. He's a physical freak, but that doesn't necessarily translate to NFL success. And so he could be hit and miss. They have him, I've seen some projecting him to do the Jaguars. If he lands in Jacksonville, he has Big Dick Nick thrown to him, so that's not that big of a deal. But there's also D.D. Westbrook, Keelan Cole.
Who?
Exactly. And some other targets there. But, he could come in and be that speed guy. Marquise Brown, I don't know a whole lot about. A.J. Brown is Antonio Brown's cousin, so he probably doesn't want to. He wants to distance himself from that family for now. But the Ravens are the ones that take that. Lamar Jackson as a QB there, that's going to be interesting because I know he wants to work on his accuracy, but he's a run-first quarterback from what I've seen last year, and so that could be because of the lack of wideouts. But those are the two teams that I have taking wide receivers and that I see taking wide receivers. Other options, the Redskins, I guess. But they're mocked to get a quarterback most often. Seahawks, Colts, those are all some options as well. I think that as far as landing spots go, the Colts might be one of the better options with Andrew Luck slinging the rock. The Seahawks are another decent option as well, but they have an O-line to fix they have an O-line to fix. Green Bay could be taking a wide out. And so I think that would be another ideal landing spot for a pass catcher. And that's really what I got from what I'm glancing at this spreadsheet at. Anything to add, mister?
Nope, none of what you said. We'll move on to our last Facebook contribution from, last but not least, Mr. Landvik himself. What?
I commented.
Okay, Josh, you don't count. You're not a fan of the show. You've listened to maybe one episode.
0.
There you go. Anyways, Mr. Landvik writes, Packers have pick number 12 and number 30. I see them trading out of at least one of those spots to get more picks, hoping for a productive wide receiver or tight end from one of those picks. They address some of the defensive needs in free agency already. Happy to see the Bears and Packers will kick off the 2019 season this fall. It's not really a take there, but he's thinking they'll trade out of 12 or 30 like you were talking about earlier, and he's hoping for a good pass catcher out of one of those picks. He didn't really specify when or where, but there's going to be a trade, and there's a pass catcher's going early.
Absolutely. No, I agree with what he says there. If they trade out of 12, I think I mentioned earlier, dropping back further into the first round, so they'd still have a second first-round pick as a possibility. So trading with the Colts, the Raiders possibly, because the Raiders have some capital, the Rams, Chiefs no longer have it, so the Seahawks maybe, trading back into the late part of the round. Otherwise, I could see them trading that 30th pick for some second rounders, maybe even a player, somebody that hasn't necessarily worked out in the system that they're in, go from there. I don't see them giving up a whole lot in addition to a pick to get something like moving up. But no, I agree that a pass catcher of some kind, Irv Smith, Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson, AJ Brown, Marquise Brown, those four kind of guys are. Did I list four?
I don't know. You listed some number amount.
4. Nope, that's 5. The 5 guys. I need a hamburger. They, those would be decent options, I believe. And there's some mocks that have not TJ Hawkinson, but Noah Fant and Irv Smith falling to 30, as well as AJ and Marquise Brown. But we'll see. I'm gonna trust Goody to do what's right, and go Pack go.
Ooh, I like it. So that's pretty much the end, and this is going to be a longer outro than normal. But let me first write down the outro start time. 54:15, we'll call it outro. A concluding thought, Josh. I thought I know we talked like when we were mainly it was me talking, but when we discussed doing these pods, 3 of them in the spring, and I said they'd be shorter. This one actually went an hour, but to me it did not feel like an hour. I don't know about you, but I felt pretty good about this one. I think we had some pretty good content for the listener out there. But I also think that you seemed a lot happier or cheerier.
We had content.
The content existed. But I also was going to say, I think you seemed a lot cheerier podcasting post-eating rather than being a Sturv and Mervin. So I think in the future we'll plan for the pods to be happen
Well,
later.
I think the sun shining helps. The fact that I got in a couple miles worth of rollerblading and walking, did some work in the garage, got off work at 1 today.
Can you just do that every day we podcast?
I like the way you think. I'm a professional podcaster. I should get paid to do this garbage.
Well, currently we lose money doing this, but someday, Josh, we just need one person to discover us and... Wait, that was the wrong noise. That was the descending noise.
There
right
we
to the
go.
top.
Yep, right to the top.
So yeah, I was just going to say, I think
Just
we
like
did good.
Kirk Cousins to the garbage pile. Right to the top.
Beautiful. So yeah, that's all I want to say about that. I think we did good. So hopefully you can eat more often pre-pod. Have any concluding thoughts before we hit people with the outro song? When you're super quiet, the mic does not pick it up. By the way.
Well, I was trying to think, what should I do after this?
What do you think you want to do after this?
Do you bleed?
Do I bleed?
Let's find out if you
like
bleed.
on a monthly, regular basis?
No,
like on a
if someone were to
cycle?
cut you, do you bleed?
I guess you're gonna have to find out, guy.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Again, segment start times are below. Email is hiddenokesoverdose@gmail.com. We've got a Facebook page. Oh, Josh, you don't need your headphones for this, but one more thought.
Levi Oki, thank you.
Nope. So do you think... So we're going to also do a post-draft pod with our reflections, but I think there's only 2 ways we got to do the post-draft pod. Now shut up, Josh. I'm asking you to listen to one more thing here. You're yawning and looking at your phone. So... I think we need to either do like an immediate post-draft pod, like literally record like Saturday or Sunday right as the pod or right as the draft concludes, or we need to wait like 2 or 3 weeks, let things kick in, let everyone's emotions calm down, and do a podcast that way. So I'll poll the audience as well. But what do you think? Do you think doing an immediate post-draft pod is better, or giving it a few weeks to let everything kind of sink in would be better?
We can let the fans decide.
Ooh, so you don't have a preference?
I don't. I think we should give them 3 options.
Okay.
Post, as in like Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
So, I don't even know when the 7th round ends, but, Sunday afternoon
It's Saturday.
sometime.
No, because the draft is Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, yeah. So then we could do Sunday. Option 2, a couple weeks down the road. Option 3, don't even do a podcast. You suck.
Cease operations. Why are you guys still wasting our time?
Cease operations and burn your equipment.
All right. So just to be clear, option 1 is do it. We'll record Saturday night or Sunday. Get it out right away. Option 2, wait a couple weeks. The day of the week doesn't matter. Option 3, give up. Not sell the equipment. I don't know who the fuck would buy this, but just cease operations.
Si, senor.
All right, beautiful.
I know which one I'm voting for.
Yeah, it's going to be a cease operations. Anyways, folks, thank you for everything. Josh has walked away, so that's the official end for this one. Thank you for listening. We're just under an hour, so still met our goal. Yay. All right, love you. Bye. Oh, I thought you went upstairs, but there you are.